democracy as a term is not necessarily a good thing. Yes, you want to have the ability to provide the people with their voice, with their choices. You want the people to be able to provide feedback and for the leadership to hear that feedback. But a complete, pure democracy is nothing more than the oppression of the many against the few. Even if the whole community votes for an oppressive measure that is designed to oppress even one person, that is wrong. But that is democracy. Democracy allows you to make any decision you want and to do anything you want to anyone you want, as long as the majority says it is okay. But is that just? Is that moral? No, it is not. That would be democracy, and it would be wrong. That is why we are not a democracy. We are a republic. What is the difference between a republic and a democracy? The difference between a republic and a democracy is that in a democracy, majority rules, no matter what it is. In a republic, you live under the rule of law. You decide beforehand what should be allowed and what should not be allowed. And then even if the majority says they want something, if it violates the rule of law, the law wins. You must have a law that has been deliberated and found to be just and then upheld, no matter what and no matter how many people say they want it. When you have a rule of law, you must find methods for changing that law. Democracy might be one way of changing that law. It may be part of the process. But we do not live in a pure democracy, and the reason we do not live in a pure democracy is because that would be a hellscape. A pure democracy would be very, very oppressive. If only 51 people out of 100 vote to do something horrific to the 49 who said no, the 51 would win. But in a rule of law, in such a situation, the 51 can say anything they want, but the 49 will still be protected. We do not live in a democracy. We have some democratic components to our republic because it is good to allow the people to have their voice, to have their say, to have a way of addressing the leadership. But it is not all democratic. When you say we live in a democracy, we protect our democracy, you are wrong. That is not what we are. And majority rule does not mean justice. Majority rule is not equal to morality. In fact, it can be just the opposite. Majority rule in and of itself does not mean something is right. And that is one of the great principles upon which our country was founded. Just because the majority believes something to be true, that in and of itself does not mean that it is. Large groups of people are easy to fool. An individual can be very intelligent and can make smart decisions. Groups of people, masses, mobs, can be very dumb. They are very animalistic in nature, and they can be caused to have great fears about things that will cause them to make great, terrible decisions. And then the few people who disagreed or who could see what was really happening are suddenly oppressed greatly. Many, many horrible things have happened in the past by majority rule. Majority rule is not always the best way to go about making a decision. Our country is not about majority rule. Our country has always been about the rule of law. The reason we created the Constitution was because we wanted to preserve specific laws that were derived from higher authorities in order to keep our country from descending into mob rule or into the rule of one over all. Goodbye, bunnies.